Hello, and welcome to another episode of Thrive Like a Parent podcast. Today, I'm going to talk to you about something that you've heard over and over and over and over and over again, which is to put on your oxygen mask first. And you may be like, I've heard this. I'm not going to listen to this. The problem that I'm finding is that just because we know that phrase doesn't necessarily mean that I'm seeing that we're doing it as parents. And when you don't do it, what happens is you place yourself at the bottom of the totem pole. You snap at your kids, and you honestly feel like you're doing a really good job as a parent because you're taking care of everyone else around you. You're giving them what they need. You're putting them first. You're tying Sally's shoes and making the perfect little lunches, and you're literally crossing the T's and dotting the I's on everything to the point where you're like, I think I'm doing a damn good job. Like, I think I'm actually a really good parent. And you probably are. I'm not saying you're not. But are you taking care of yourself? And that is probably hands down the most important thing in parenthood, which people are not realizing. I think we are in this difficult space at the moment of there's so much conscious parenting out there. There's so much gentle parenting out there. You're supposed to be like these emotional beings towards your kids, and you're supposed to be like you're honestly supposed to be Houdini at this point, being able to support them emotionally and this and that. Like sometimes if your kids say I hate you, that fucking hurts. And I think that we're going from a lens of like, oh, something must be going wrong. You must be feeling really sad right now. If you're telling me you hate me at 3, you have absolutely no idea what that means. But if you're telling me you hate me at 9, no, like, no, thank you. And I don't think that we are implementing this idea of teaching our children that it is okay for us to remain in the driver's seat and that is okay for us to take care of ourselves as parents and as individuals. If you are currently exhausted, depleted, miserable, you're waking up in the morning saying, I can't believe this is my life. I don't know how I got to this place. You resent your partner. You can barely look at them. You are so frustrated and annoyed with your kids, or like any one of those things, right? If you are unhappy, if you're depressed, if you're on antidepressants, if you have high anxiety, if you have gone on a vacation this summer and you're like, I didn't enjoy a single damn thing of that. There's just so many examples, if you will, that I could give you of like, if that is you. But the bottom line is if you're unhappy and if you feel like you're giving to everyone else and never to yourself, that probably means you are. And that means that you're probably dysregulated and miserable. I cannot tell you how long I lived like that as a parent. I think that I lived like that even before I was a parent. I met Jonathan in graduate school. And so my workload was studying and going to school. I didn't have a 9 to 5 job. I had free time. Jonathan had an 8 to 5 job. And on top of that, Jonathan decided to go back to graduate school at night to get his MBA. And so once we met and we got, acquainted within our relationship, I would go do my thing. I'd go to school. I'd get my schoolwork done. I may work out, and then I'd go to the grocery and pick something up for us. And I'd go back to his place and make him dinner. And then while I was cooking dinner, he would go work out. And then we'd sit and enjoy a nice meal together and have some time and enjoy. And, I started doing as much as I could for him because I thought that that's what it meant to be a loving partner. I thought that it meant to take care of one another, but we've got it backwards. We really need to be taking care of ourselves and then enjoy each other's company. And that's where it started and went wrong for me, to be quite honest with you. And then once you have one kid, you're kind of still able to juggle. You're kind of still able to juggle it all because you can still take care of what was already being taken care of. And then you just add on a baby. I will never forget. And I have talked to many, many parents who, on both sides, male and female, who have done this before, but I literally wrote a list for Jonathan at one point because he didn't think I was doing much during the day. And I was like, what do you mean you don't think I'm doing much during the day? And I would literally write, I like clocked out. And then I was like, when he got home, I was like, look at it, like, take a look, like, see when I got to rest today and just watch Bravo. You think I am. Take a look at this. And he wouldn't look at it because I think he knew deep down he was wrong. And he knew that clearly things were taking place. I think he was just miserable within his own life and his own work. And so it was easier to blame me that I had it good, I had it easy. And I do believe that partnerships do that. Well, you're lucky you get to stay at home. Like, it must be nice to like go out to lunch with your girlfriends, or like, oh, it must be nice to like sit at a computer all day long and not deal with screaming, crying kids, at the playground and pulling on me and vomiting on me. Like, instead of us fixing and turning inward and supporting ourselves, we're going externally and blaming each other, which is like such a disaster of a relationship. And like, how do you expect to be able to function as a team if that's where you're at? I was at the beach last week and Carter told me that he walked by this couple who was sitting there in chairs drinking beers, and he just got a glimpse and heard, and she was like, we are at the bottom. She's like, you don't touch me, you don't look at me, we fight all the time, you're always snapping at me, like, we can barely look at each other, like, this is the bottom of our marriage, like, we are there, and like, I don't know what to do about it. And they just sat there and kept drinking beers. And the point of explaining that to you and giving you that story is going on a vacation. Yes, while maybe they're having the conversation, right? That need to actually happen, but like, no change can come by just talking about it. No change can come by just sitting and drinking a beer on the beach. Like, a vacation isn't going to fix this. And what really needs to happen is to understand how you want your life to look. Like, I literally want you to be selfish and picture it. And then I want you to be unapologetic about going after it. And oftentimes that requires you to gain support. And that, yes, means probably paying for support. Doesn't matter who it's with. It doesn't have to be me, but find someone that you want to learn from. Find someone that you want to understand how to get the life that you so desperately long for, so that you're discontinuing putting yourself at the bottom of the totem pole, so that you are finally enjoying the life that you're working so hard to build, if you will, that you're waking up in the morning and saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is my life. I'm so freaking happy. Does it take effort, energy, and time? Yes, it does. Like, my life did not happen overnight. I think you know me by now. If you're listening to this, I've been through hell and back. But what I will say is the things that I have envisioned for my life, whether it was 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, I have very slowly worked at to make happen. I have worked really hard to build the life that I've wanted to build. And that is down to how I want my children to be treated by me, how I want my children to treat me, how I want it to go and look with the chores in the house, how I want it to look when there is no male in the house, how if Carter's not around or here, how I want my life to look with my business, how I want my life to look with my clients. Like, I get these glimpses and moments of like, oh my gosh, I made it happen. Like, oh my gosh, like, I'm here because I wanted this. I'm here because I did this. Did it take time and effort? Yes. Absolutely. But I knew that I could no longer live the way that I was living, in terms of placing myself at the bottom of the totem pole and literally putting my oxygen mask on last. Literally last. Like, if I could double and triple the oxygen mask for Jonathan, like, I was going to do it. Like, screw me. Like, it didn't matter about me. Like, I was going to figure out a way to help him and take care of him and make sure he was okay, and then make sure that my kids were functioning, and then like, I got the scraps off the plate. Like, that's what it was. And I've shared it with you before, I think in a recent podcast, that when I finally started taking care of myself, and finally started saying, okay, wait, I think this isn't working for me. I literally started by just walking. I gave myself an hour a day to go walk, and I challenged myself one summer to walk 15,000 steps every single day. And that is literally the first step I took towards changing my life, my entire life. And it wasn't so hard to take that hour. It really wasn't. Did I have to get up the guts to unapologetically say, hey, I'm going to go walk? Hey, I'm going to go walk. Hey, I'm going to take my walk. Hey, I'm going to. Yeah, it did. But the kids at that time were still home and napping. So, it was no skin off Jonathan's back. And there were plenty of times where he looked at me and he was like, you've gone crazy. And I'm like, I'm not, like, I haven't, this isn't a me thing where I'm having like I wasn't the mentally unstable one. I was probably depressed and anxious because I was so miserable taking care of everyone else around me. And I'd have breakdowns and meltdowns and snap. And it was like a yo-yo. Like I was all over the place and it was so unhealthy and it was so not stable. And once I started doing that for myself and walking and realizing, of course, I had support, and I've had many, many mentors over the years who are wonderful. And I still have mentors to this day, and support and guidance and all the different things. But I don't wake up and snap at my kids anymore. I don't wake up crying. I don't feel like I'm drowning. I don't feel like life is this hard thing to tackle anymore. But I believe that I'm at this place in my life because I made a conscious decision to put my oxygen mask on and decide that I mattered, and to start climbing up that damn totem pole and saying it's okay if I'm first. And by me being first on that totem pole, everything falls into place with the mental health of my children and the mental health of myself. And that is the way in which households should run. That is the way in which households absolutely should run. Because if it doesn't start with you, then there's no model. If it doesn't start with you, then there's no enjoyment. It's everyone's miserable, right? If it doesn't start with you, then it's just there's just an overall feeling of, honestly, depression. Like I don't really like heaviness, like you're carrying bricks in your backpack. That's how it felt for me. And as I started unzipping the bag and taking off the bricks and saying, at some point I had to decide, I'm an adult just like Jonathan. I matter just as much as Jonathan. I matter just as much as Charlie. I matter just as much as Eli. Like I fucking matter. And there are so many of you that we work with who just that simple phrase, I matter, you don't believe it. You don't trust it. You don't see it as something that is true for you. You believe that your partner matters. You believe that your children matter. You believe, hell, that your dogs matter. Like you believe that the neighbors matter and your family and your parents, like everyone else matters, but you haven't earned it. You don't feel worthy. There are so many individuals who we work with who just have built their own worth within taking care of everyone else around them. And, I went into occupational therapy. I went into working with individuals with special needs, individuals with disabilities, like really, really, complex disabilities, all the way to fine motor handwriting skills. Like I worked with it all. And at the end of the day, it felt so good to give to someone else and help support and take care of someone else. Like that was innate within me. It felt so damn good that I never knew how to make myself feel good by doing something for myself. And I believe that so many of us have that nurturing gene that we just want to give and give and give, but we totally forget how to give to ourselves. And then because we haven't done it for decades, we have no fucking idea how to do it. Like zero idea. And then when you do try to do it, or you do go to do it, it is so wildly uncomfortable for your brain, because your brain is so used to over functioning and living in a space of doing for everyone else and living in basically a chaotic state, like a tornado, that when you're like, holy shit, I just got a moment of silence and peace, you don't know what to do with it. You literally don't know what to do with it. Like, it is so uncomfortable. I'll give you a story that just popped in my head that I've been working with a client for a while now. She's doing fantastic. I'm so proud of her. And I hope you don't mind that I'm sharing this story because I know you're going to listen to it. But the first time that I helped her try to slow down, she was so uncomfortable doing it. And she's like, I really feel like I should be organizing the pantry right now. Like, I really feel like I should be like, this is so uncomfortable. Like, I really feel like I should. And I'm like, then just do it. Like, if that's what feels good to you, then organize the pantry. But at the end of the day, it was because of her own discomfort with slowing down of like, oh, wait, I'm giving to myself. I'm in the house alone. I have my partner taking the kids for the afternoon. Like, this feels so uncomfortable for me because normally I'm over functioning and doing something with myself. So like, what do you mean I'm going to sit on the couch? Like, what do you like? What? Huh? No. I should totally be organizing the pantry right now. Makes total sense. Total sense, because that is what your brain and body are used to doing, right? Like, I've been a parent for a decade, 10 years. So if I had continued over functioning for 10 years, imagine how hard it is to rewire that nervous system, rewire that brain to be like, no, you're totally safe if you don't organize that pantry right now. Your brain's going to say there's a fucking fire in your house. You need to stop, drop, and roll and organize the pantry like immediately. Like, get off your ass, lazy, right? Like, that's what your brain is going to tell you. And that is the reason why sometimes it requires you to gain support during this time in your life. If you're ready to start climbing up that damn totem pole, if you're ready to put your oxygen mask on first, because you've got so many conflicting internal stories. You've got so many conflicting internal thoughts in your brain of like I just said, like, get up, lazy, right? Like, there's so many things that go into this to recalibrate that smoke detector and to tell your brain there is no fire within your home. I am safe, and it is okay for me to go on that walk. I am safe, and it is okay for me to lay down for a second. I am safe, and it is okay for me to do one more errand that will make my life easier. It is okay for me to find a sitter and take a few hours off. It's okay for me to, I don't know, get the foot massage. Like, it is okay. It is totally okay. But what we do is we say, if that happens, then this will happen. Then I'll feel guilty, or then they'll miss me, or then they won't be able to get their stuff done, or no one's going to do it like I'm going to do it, or they're not going to understand how to do it on their own. Like, there's so many things that go into trusting your own self because it has felt so good for you to do it and take care of others. And you have gained and sometimes even built your self-worth around taking care of others. And so I just want to remind you, because we talk about it so often with all of our clients, that I know it's like, yeah, I knew all this, but it's just a simple reminder of like, even ask yourself, like, how'd your summer go? Like, how did it go? Like, how did it feel for you? Was it exhausting and you can't wait for your kids to go back to school to get some freedom? Because I've had those summers where I'm like, bye. Like, bye, honey. See ya. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Like, peace out, home dog. So ready for the school year to start. I have had those summers. So like, you are not alone. And there is no judgment if it was a hell of a summer. None. But what I want for you, what I desire for you, if you are taking the time to listen to this, is sadness that the summer is ending, sadness that your vacations are over, sadness that you won't get to spend as much time with your kids and sleep in and all the things. Like, I have loved every fucking moment of this summer. I promise I'm not going to cry, but tears are rolling up. But that's how much I've enjoyed my life. And because I'm the girl that can look into this camera and say, I've been where you are. I have been miserable in my life. I have not taken care of myself. I have put myself at the fucking bottom of the barrel. And for me, in my own life, at times, it was choosing between life and death of another and making sure that that person survived and completely worrying about myself later. Like there wasn't even a thought, there was no space, there was no room for me. I had to learn and figure out how to be worthy enough to find that space for me and own it. But to sit here and say, holy shit, I'm enjoying my life. My children are taken care of. They know they're loved. The chores are done. Like we're happy. Like all three of us are happy. Like that is such an accomplishment because there are so many of us who sacrifice ourselves for our loved ones and never, ever give this to ourselves. But the same way your children should grow up in a happy home, you should live in a happy home, which means you yourself are happy. And it may not mean I am only going to be happy if I get a divorce, but I'm going to wait until my kids go off to college. It may not mean I'm only going to be happy if I quit my job and I win the lottery. It may not mean, well, I'm only going to be happy if I get a bigger house and a nice car. It may not mean I'm only going to be happy when my kids are older and can do things themselves. Like it doesn't have to mean any of that. I have watched couples transform their dynamics together and stay the course and fall even more in love with each other. I have watched families rise and support their children and hold stronger boundaries and build some structure in and give the nurture their children need while making sure that they're not drowning as parents. It is doable. And I know I always say to you, does it come with work? Yes. But that's because I want to be honest. I don't want you to, it's kind of like, think of like some of those stupid ads you see on Instagram. It's like, hey, you, like, do you want to go viral or do you want to make $1 million a year? Or like, do you want to do a side gig or do you want to sell shit on Amazon or do you want to, like, YouTube is the place to be? Like, that is just such a crock of bullshit. Like, you think you can click that button, buy their shit, and be a bazillionaire in a week? No, it's going to take effort no matter what you do. Whether you're going after finances, whether you're going after happiness, whether you're going after regulation, whether you're going after lack of depression, like it's going to take effort, just like a diet would. But this is a lifestyle, right? Any healthy lifestyle takes effort, but the reward and payoff is life-giving and life-changing. And so I just want to remind you today, if you haven't taken care of yourself in a while, to please do so. If you need support, skip the vacation and pay for the support so that when you go on vacation, you'll enjoy the damn vacation. Find someone who feels best and right for you to guide you through your own journey of life. And most importantly, stop wasting time, because time is the most valuable commodity you will ever have, and you can't get it back. So this is your kick in the ass to start climbing that totem pole all the way up to the top, and take a breath once you're up there and enjoy. And until next time, XOXO, Dr. B.